Hey guys, welcome back. My name's Stu and this is Erode Park for Rollercoaster Tycoon Classic Part 41, I believe, of the VJ scenario pack. 5 racing coasters will be the centerpiece of this park. The only problem is the coasters need to be finished. Your objective: to finish building all 5 of the partially built roller coasters in this park, designing them to achieve excitement ratings of at least 8.8 excitement each. Okay, so quite high excitement goals then. So where are, oh, okay, all down here next to each other. So that's cool, because at least then you can get an easy synchronization bonus from them. And they all look like twisters. Okay, this one's called Tara and it's a flawless coaster. This one's also called Tara. It's a stand-up twister. This one's called Tara again. Okay. VJ, maybe you're coming across as being a bit of a stalker if there's someone that you know called Tara. That's the twister. That one's also a stand-up, and this one's also a flawless. We've got 3 types of coaster: 1 twister and 2 stand-up and 2 flawless twisters. So I didn't realize you could duplicate them on these scenarios, but clearly you can. Okay, so that's that. There's no money, so we haven't got to worry about that. The twister coasters are very forgiving and quite easy to get high excitement on, so we shouldn't really have any problems. Now, I did say in the previous video that I was going to use this video as a way of telling you the story of my my hospital trip. So I think that's still the plan. But I think before that, what I'll do is I'll build the parvin and things like that. Maybe a station building, and get it all the pathing back to the start. Maybe add some little bridges that the tracks can interact with. I'll do all that via a time lapse, and then when we come back, we can build the coasters. And as I'm building the coasters, I can tell you all about my little stay in hospital and such. So yeah, so stay tuned. Check out super fast build mode, and I'll see you soon. Okay, so we have our station built. I quite like it. I mean, it's nothing fancy, but it's nice enough. It's pleasant enough. The roof is kind of interesting. I've noticed that some of the colors are slightly off. Let's address that right now on the windows. There you go. There you go. Done, done, done. Cool. So we've got the building there. I've got the paths. The queue line, I haven't been exact. I've roughly tried to make them fairly even. That's why some of the ones at the front go all around the place, and then some of the ones at the back kind of just go straight under. And they've worked out well, sort of under there. I've done a big gate over the top, and then I've done like different colors over the top of the queue line, because what I'm going to do is eventually I'm going to color each of the tracks that color. At the moment, I've just got the supports that color. So if you want to ride a certain color roller coaster, you just head for that queue line, and the fence panels match as well. I've done a path all the way back, a couple of little seating areas and food areas, some fencing, a little bridge as well, so maybe we can get the trains to go under there, the track to go under there. So I think with this, we've got no money to worry about. The excitement goal is fairly high, but they are going to be, or we can at least make them synchronized. So that'll give us a big boost. So really, we want to be aiming for around 8, and then the synchronization boost and any interactions should take care of the rest. So in the time lapse, you might have seen me playing around with the mounting tool, and that's not something you get to play with all the time. It's something that you only really get with scenarios where there's no money involved. And that's probably because otherwise it would be very easy to wipe all your money out very, very quickly. So I'll just show you briefly that one. So we're not going to be using VJ's weird stalker names. We're gonna change the color, so they're all gonna be, I know, very unoriginal, but whatever. Maybe you guys should start putting names or coaster themes or something in the comments, and then maybe I could incorporate those into future videos. That'd be cool. So okay, too high for supports. So what can we do? We can go in and adjust land. So we'll click on that button there, and then click on the smaller. Again, and right, so it's a bit awkward, right? I have to remember how to do it then. So you click on the square on the right, or the diamond on the right, there. Click on the screen, and you press it down again, and then you get that mounting tool. So we want to be aiming. So if you see how many land tiles are affected, then you can imagine how quickly and easily it would be to wipe all your money out if this was available. So I don't know if that is the reason why it's not available normally. I'm just guessing that reason makes sense. So I think if we just add some little mountains by here, hills. Apparently there is no international definition of what a mountain or a hill is. I mean, some people say there is, there isn't. Yeah. So I am a firm believer in renaming all the mountains in Wales to be hills, to reduce the amount of tourists that go up there and make a mess. Anyway, I did say I was going to tell you all about my recent stay in hospital. Oh, that's pretty cool. It's no, it doesn't. Huh. I thought it altered the land behind. It just sort of somehow weirdly tied in with what was behind. Okay, so I think that's high enough. Okay, so my little tale then. It's not going to be, I'm not going to make it graphic. It doesn't need to be graphic, and there isn't really that much graphic involved. So if you think back to Easter, oh, there you go. That's as high as we can go. So which one's this? This is the flawless, and then we've got stand up, normal twister, then stand up, then flawless again. So do I want to run them in pairs, or no, I don't know. Let's just play about, see what we can. Too high for supports. Let's add a little bit more land then. So just after Easter. So here in the UK, the Friday and Monday, either side of Easter Sunday, are always bank holidays. So you get an extra day off for both of those days. So I was scheduled to be nights on the Friday and the Monday, but obviously I was off. And then early hours, so I was off Monday night, and then early hours Tuesday morning, I don't know, 1, 2 o'clock, something like that, I woke up with some really bad stomach pains. Went to the toilet thinking it was that, you know, the whole running down the lane, and I felt a certain pain. You know that song? And nothing happened. So I took some painkillers, and I'm not a person that goes for painkillers a lot. Are we gonna do this vertical? No, we'll do that because it's just longer. It's just save me having to do. Yeah. So I'm not a person that likes painkillers. I'll usually just take them when I need to take the edge off pain, or to help me sleep, or if I've got like a headache, or back when I used to have issues with teeth and whatever else. I've still got teeth, but I used to have problems with my wisdom teeth until I had to have them all out. But so yeah, so I took painkillers, took the edge off it, went back to bed, woke up in the morning. My stomach was still a little iffy, not painful, but fine. I just put it down to constipation and indigestion, because it's just been Easter, and we always eat and drink a little bit too much over Easter. So what are we? So we're just gonna go my basic up roller coasters. You go up, and then you go down, and then you go up, but not quite as far as you went up the last time, and then you go down. So we've gone to 200 and 175. So this train now is gonna be going pretty quick. So where are we now? I am going to be waffling. I'm going to be jumping between the story and the coaster. I'm sure you'll keep up. So yeah, and then I was in work then Tuesday night, and again, just felt like indigestion and constipation. So I was fine. And then after I finished work, I went to the toilet, and hallelujah, I tell you what, you don't know how amazing it is when you haven't been for a while. And so yeah, so I thought, oh, this is it now, no problems. So went home, went to bed, got up in the afternoon, went back to work, feeling all right, was never really in that much pain whilst in work until we were on last break. I need to cough a second. And I got really severe pains again, but it was only like an hour or so to go. So I just thought, oh, look, I'll be fine. If it gets too much, I'll go home. But at the moment, it's fine. So went back to work. It wasn't excruciatingly bad, but it was kind of painful. But at this point now, I was almost finishing, so it would have been more hassle than it's worth to have gone early. So from my point of view, not from anyone at work's point of view, but so yeah, I went home, went to bed, couldn't sleep, needed to take painkillers, managed to get some sleep, woke up, usually after nights, after my last night shift, I'll set my alarm for about midday. That way I don't sleep too much, so I'm a bit of a zombie that day, but not so much that I can't, but I haven't slept so much that I can't sleep that night. And then, but I felt terrible. I went in the bath, went, that felt a bit better. Oh, I've gone a little bit too far there, maybe. Okay, can we? Yes, we can. We can go over there. And then I got out of the bath, had a bit of cereal, and went back to bed, which I never normally do after nights because I know that night I'm not going to sleep if I sleep too much. But I was in so much pain. And at this point, I was just like, look, I'm off now. After today, I'm off now until for another, because the way my shifts work, I have like a week off in between. So I was like, I'm off now, so I'll go to the doctor's Friday. It'll be fine. So I went back to bed, managed to get a bit of sleep. And then, is that going to be too fast there? Possibly. When we do that. And then I woke up then about 3-ish, and the pain had moved. So bearing in mind, all the last couple of days I've been looking at different online, which I know you shouldn't do, but I was looking at different symptoms that it could be. And obviously now, I've watched House. This is a new symptom. So, the fact that the pain has moved is a new symptom. So I did want to go under that bridge, didn't I? Yeah, there you go. That'll be pretty cool. Can I do that? Yes. There you go. So we've come down from that. So I've got a new symptom. So I look on and instantly it basically tells me, yeah, it's classic appendicitis. So at this point, I'm actually relieved. I've just found out that the chances are this pain I've got means that my appendix is infected and potentially could burst. But at this stage, I'm quite happy because of all the things it could have been, this is probably one of the best outcomes. So and there's proof of this a bit later in the story. One of my my colleagues has had issues with kidney stones, and wow, yeah. So anyway, I go down and speak to Mrs. Stew, and I'm like, look, I need to get a bag ready because I need to go to the hospital. So we sort out a bag, and then after I've done that, let's go this way. I ring 111, which is our non-emergency phone number, for non-emergency medical issues, and so I explain the symptoms to the person on the phone, and I know how it works because my niece actually works for the company or for the service, and so what happens then is they sort of do I want to do that? No, they then will speak to, because if it's simple stuff, then I mean they can give you answers, but if it's like something that could be complicated or like proper medical stuff, then they'll put you on hold and speak to like a nurse or whoever there. And so they put me on hold, and basically as soon as they came back, they put me straight through to the ambulance service, and they were like, yeah, we want to send an ambulance out to get you, but there's a massive delay. There's like a 7-hour delay, and I'll explain why later. Partly because of COVID and stuff like that, but yeah. So at this point, I'm like, no, it's fine. I can get to the hospital. That's not a problem. I've got where I am. If you imagine like a sort of a huge triangle, on 2 of those points are major hospitals, and on one of the other points is a minor hospital, and I live pretty much in between, and each of them are only like, I don't know, 7-8 miles away, so it's not an issue. So they said I could go to the minor hospital because it's not cardiac, so as in nothing to do with the heart, so it's fine. So we went there, and I walked up to reception and explained it, and the lady on reception was just like, "Well, why have you come here?" Like, so, well, the ambulance service said that since it wasn't cardiac, it would be fine. And so, in a bit of a huff, she was like, "Well, okay, go and take a seat." So I went into the waiting room, and it was fairly full, and there was people drunk with blood down their face, and the usual stuff, and some guy who worked for a courier firm who seemed to be more concerned with getting his van back to the depot, which is what a boring dystopia we live in. More concerned getting his van back to the depot than he was with waiting to be treated. Is something up with his foot fallen or something. Yeah, and so I waited to be seen. Wasn't there too long. Ended up going in, doing some tests. Taking a urine sample, and they took a little blood test and whatever, and then the nurse comes back, and he says, "Yeah, appendicitis. So we're gonna have to get you to one of the other hospitals so you can be operated on." Again, gave me the choice of the other two hospitals now, and I opted for the one that was fairly more, I'm gonna say, more rural. It covers like a wider area, but the area is less sort of populated, if that makes sense. And that's nothing against the other one. I mean, I'm actually from the area that the other one covers, but I figured that one would probably be completely full of people with blood down their face and drunk. But yeah, so we opted to go to that one. Mrs. Stew rang her parents, because at the moment my daughter was looking after our son, because she's old enough to look after him for a few hours, and so her mother then went down to our house to look after the kids, and her father came to the hospital. Or her mother dropped the father off at the hospital, and then went to look after the kids, and then the father then came with us up to the main hospital, because even though it's mainly one road, Mrs. Stew isn't confident on driving to these places. So yeah, but it's fine. Where are we gonna go now? I know we're probably not gonna go too interesting with the coasters. Maybe we can do that. Maybe we will later on, but I don't really want to have to spend too long troubleshooting the coasters. Okay, so we're gonna go up to there. We'll put a block brake in there, and then there, and then we're gonna go. We'll do another brake run there. So we got a block brake there. Have we got a block brake there? We have. Cool. So we should be able to run 3 trains on these nicely. So we just need to join that up. Where have we got? Well, that's up to 10. How about Helix? So we get to the hospital. There's a police van outside with some lady in the back who had been arrested for, I don't know what she did, assaulting some guy that was inside the hospital. I'm not painting a very good picture of Wales, am I? But I'm sure other places have the same issues. No. Do a little bit around the lake, because this interaction with the water will give us a nice boost. We could just do the mountain tool, can't we? Said, can't we? Oh, that looks bad. And I'm sure I made this look so nice as well in the time lapse. Oh well. Yeah. So we explained the situation to the receptionist, and they were like, "Yeah, we're expecting you. We just need to print all this stuff off, and then blah blah blah, take a seat, etc." So the waiting room there was rammed, and there was a sign up saying that there was like a 5 hour wait. But as it turned out, the next morning it said the same thing. So I don't know if that's like how Disney lie with their queue times to make you think that it's going to take ages, and then in reality it doesn't, and you feel a bit better. But yeah, so that was that. We sat down, we waited. The waiting room was full, well, almost full, but there was still a few seats available. But the seats were really, really uncomfortable. This is now about 10-ish, 11-ish at night. I get called, I do another sample. They give me some medicine and things, I think. No, this one, no, they didn't give me anything yet. They did another sample. They confirmed that it was appendicitis. And then we went back to wait in the waiting room. Let's put this on. Run this on test. How many trains have we got? Oh, we don't want 3 just yet. We can do 3 at the end. We'll do a quick test of this one. Oh, I've done it again. Right. Trains first. Make sure it's at full speed. Yep. And chain of speed. If we do a number on it as well, and maybe I'll do a chapters or something in the video. Not that would make any sense, since I'll probably do a chapter for the time lapse. Anyway, yeah, and the seats are really uncomfortable, so I decided to sit on the floor now. And then I discovered that the grate that was on the floor around the edge of the room was actually concealing a hot pipe. So this grate was really warm. So I folded my coat up into and my bag into like a pillow. And I just started laying down on this basically hot grate, much to the amusement of some of the people in the waiting room. But honestly, it was amazing. It was like laying on a massive hot water bottle. And when you've got a pain in your side, when your appendix is on the verge of, I suppose, breaking, it's very, very relieving to lay on something like that. Yeah, this coaster's running great. A lot of speed for the end, but I mean that could have probably carried on for ages more. But honestly, it wasn't going too fast into the brake run, so it wouldn't be like a really sharp stop. So yeah, so I think that concludes the first part of the story and the first course. Let's see what the excitement comes back as, because this will give me a good gauge for the rest of it. 8.41. I said we need to be aiming for about 8. So with once we put on the synchronize, that'll give us probably like half a point of excitement, and any further interactions we do are going to boost it as well. So great start. I'm going to pause the video a second or pause the recording a second, and when I come back, we're going to start on the second one. Okay, so let's crack on with the second one. So this one, we just check. Yep. This one, we're going green. Okay, we can have a quick check on the on some of the stats for the last one. What's the intensity doing? 7.33, 15 drops. Okay. So this one now is a stand up, but they are pretty forgiving on the twisters. So we're basically going to do much the same, I suppose. We can have it sort of running alongside. So where am I with the story now? Oh yeah, so I'm in the hospital. Oh, we did go up to 200. And what about if I take that one away from there? That way it might be slightly slower into the bend because it's a shorter radius than the outer one. Might mean that they're fairly even going into the first drop. Yeah, we'll try that. So I'm on the floor now through my own choice. There were seats available. There's people going and come in and go in, whatever. The police that were using the van at the front, they come in and leave. I actually saw 3 sets of police throughout the night for different reasons. And then, I mean, being in a waiting room for the whole night is a real experience. I mean, after they started giving me medicine, it was mainly just sort of the process of waiting. I mean, I wasn't really in the pain. But anyway, we'll get to that. So I'm back and forth. They call me and you go in, and I've done another sample. They've confirmed it's that, but they wanna rule out a few. Well, they think it's that, but they just want to rule out. Well, actually, no. They knew it was appendicitis, but they wanted to rule out the pain because I was constipated again. Because I know I said I went after work, but that was like a day and a half ago now, and I hadn't been since. And they like when the doctors are all like poking and prodding. Oh, by the way, when they come in, you're in the room on the bed. When they having like a consultation or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, you don't mind like this slack handful of student doctors being in here too?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm fine. I've seen Scrubs. I know how it works." Because in case you don't know, that's set in like a teaching hospital. I've seen Scrubs. I know how it works. And so yeah, they're all having a turn, poking me in the side, sort of like, there you go. Can you see how his bowels are really full? Yes, yes, etc., etc. And they're doing these weird things where they're pressing down your side and then releasing it in different ways, and then getting me to explain how the pain is. And they're like, yeah, that's classic appendicitis. But it's at this point now, it's gone midnight. So they don't really, if they don't need to, they don't really want to operate at this time of night. If it's an if it was bursting, they'd be like, let's rush him straight to the theater. But it's not. So they gave me some medicine, some antibiotics, which calmed it down, painkillers as well. So I was fine. And basically I'd I'd eaten some cereal like, what was it, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that, last eaten. And they say you have to be like 12 hours nil by mouth. So I think, yeah, tracking up to here is good. I think eventually we are going to go, the coaster now I'm talking about, we are going to go off in a different direction and be a bit random. But I think it would be pretty cool if they track each other for a bit. Yeah. So how fast is this going to be going? what if it does that? What if it goes off on its own this way? Okay. Yeah, so they later explained to me that during the height of COVID, what they were doing is they were giving people sort of antibiotics, and then that would stop the flare-up of the appendicitis, and that would pretty much be it, because they don't really want to have too many people in the hospital if they don't need to. But they said now we're sort of on the way out of it, or on the tail end of it. They recommended me to have it done. So so I'm just this is a bit further on the story. I haven't planned this out very well, the storytelling. But they said that now we're on the tail end, it's better to nip it in the bud and have it done now. So anyway, so I'm having the antibiotics, it's calming down, so I'm not really in any pain. It's discomfort, but it's not really in any pain. If anything, it's the whole me being there and seeing everything sort of unfold is just, it's interesting. It's like, because it's like you watch hospital dramas and comedies and all and films and stuff like that, and yeah, you see the highlights, but you don't see the low points. You don't see the bits in between. You don't see the conversations between the doctors and the nurses and the porters and the cleaners and all the rest of it. You know, it's just interesting, and the patients and all the rest of it. You know, it's interesting. So at one point, after doing a urine sample, the nurse, he comes along and he sits down and he's like, urine was good. And I'm just like, thanks. And so he realized what he'd said and laughed. And yeah, it's just, this was about probably like, we're probably still about one in the morning, something like that. 2, I'm having like because I'm on nil by mouth now. They're giving me a drip, so that's like when they put that like a saline bag that goes into your arms. You're getting fluids that way, because they don't want you drinking. I'm having a little bit sips of water when I'm having painkillers and other medicines they're giving me, but they don't want you having too much, because they don't want too much in your stomach in case, because when you're being operated on and you have to have the anesthetic, they don't want you being sick. So yeah, so then I'm back and for the waiting room. On my spot on the floor, there's less and less people there. There's a girl there with a by the time morning comes around, there's still a girl there with her mother, like a teenage girl with her mother, and we've suspected, I believe it was tonsillitis, but I think later on they weren't quite sure. Guests are getting lost and stuck. Well, that's going to be a them problem, I think. I don't really care about the guests. Could we do a brief? No, we don't want to do that. We can do that, but then we can, rather than doing a wide bend at the bottom, we'll do a shallow one, which should mean we've got enough space to do this, and then, oh, we're under. Cool. And now we can go back up. It would be cool if they can all sort of meet at this point before branching off again. There was an old lady in a wheelchair. She found it amusing that I was on the floor rather than on a seat. And I said to her, it's really warm down here. And she could tell by the smile on my face that basically, if she could, I'm sure she'd have joined me on the warm floor. But yeah, it's and then around about 8 o'clock then, or 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, by Mrs. Stew and her father had left at about 3-ish, something like that. So before we get that, there was this old couple came in, frightfully posh. He had something wrong with his leg. And at one point, this lady's back and forth to reception, complaining like, "Where is he?" etc. And they're like, "Look, he's gone for an X-ray. Not sure where he is." She's nagging them. They're like, oh, we'll try and find out where he is, as if they haven't got enough to be dealing with. meanwhile, whilst this is all going on, I said I wasn't going to try not to make it too graphic. It's not. I want to sort of convey the situation and how my sort of mindset was formed. This couple came in, probably about 30, both of them. The girl was pregnant and crying her eyes out. She'd been vomiting blood. And so just imagine what they're going through and what's going through her mind at the moment. The fact that she's pregnant, she's this ill. And then you've got this old lady complaining because her husband's in a hospital having an x-ray and she hasn't seen him for 10 minutes. I'm just thinking, like, read the room, you know, see, they've got enough to be dealing with. That's why I was just, I'd go and see them when I was cold, and when I've done, I'd go back to my spot on the warm floor, and I would just, you know, sort of assume the fetal position, so my side was on the warm spot, pull my hat down over my eyes, and if I could get a few minutes, bear in mind, because I'd slept during the day, my body is kind of back on nights. Can we do that? That'd be quite cool if it crosses over, wouldn't it? My body's sort of still on night shift mode, but I'm managing to grab a few minutes here and there. And then at one point I go to have, I think it's either maybe an MRI. I'm not too sure. So I was, so me and a nurse who I can only describe as Florence Pugh from Black Widow, you know, Black Widow's sister. You know, accent, and I didn't ask her where she's from because with all that's going on in the world at the moment, it might have been awkward, you know. Not that I would have cared, but yeah. So she took me off to, I think it was an MRI, and they inject something into you, and they're like a dye, and they're like, it might be, you might feel a warm sensation, and then it always amused me when you have like these things, or not that I've had one of them before, but I've had x-rays before where they're like, oh, it's completely safe, and then they put like a lead plate over your sort of your lap, you know, to protect the jewels, and then they leave the room, and it's like, I understand it's because they do this all the time. Will that be going? It might be too fast. They do this all the time, but it's kind of amusing all the same. And so yeah, they're exposed to like low doses, like constantly. Well, being exposed to low doses constantly is much worse, you know, over a period of years, is much worse than being exposed to like a higher dose once. So yeah, and then so that did feel warm when I went into this machine and had whatever test, because they wanted to, although they knew it was appendicitis, they wanted to make sure that it couldn't be just sorted with, they wanted to see how bad it was rather than just giving me the antibiotics and send me on my way. Because if they think it's really bad, yeah, we'll get it operated on. And then when the results came back and they got me in the room and prodded me again, they were like, yeah, we want to operate, and then but that'll be later. So I go back to the waiting room, you know, after having probably had another drip or something. Not very tasty, but it is what it is. Maybe some more pills. Go back to the waiting room, and then they did the shift change, which was interesting. So you see a lot of the people go in, and a lot of the new people come in, and then eventually I'm called back in, and let's see if we can get this one sorted before I carry on with the story. One more, maybe one more. Oh, no, that's in the way. Yeah, I'm not very good at multitasking. I did say one more. One more there, and then we can go up. And then we'll do the break from the back. So the shift change happened, and then I go back in the sort of what I'm going to refer to as the backstage area. So you've got the waiting room with like the general public, and then by this point it was myself, that girl with her mother, the one who was suspected tonsillitis, the old lady in the wheelchair, and a guy that old guy that kept wandering off. He wanted to leave, but they were like, "Look, honestly, you'll get seen." They've been back and forth seeing him, but he's like, "Look, you will get seen. It won't be too long. If you leave now, and it gets worse, you're gonna have to come back, and you're gonna have to start all this waiting again." So him as well. So just the four of us left from the room that was hectic the night before. So it's about 8-9 o'clock in the morning now. Haven't eaten since 2 o'clock the following the afternoon before. Haven't slept properly since around that time. I'm charging my phone on like one of the wall outlets because I was, I knew I was going to be in hospital, so I took my charger and all the rest of it with me. I'm just waiting to go into the backstage area, as I call it. Like I said, you've got the waiting room, then you've got the reception, then you've got the doors, then leading you into the area with like the nurses' station and the doctor's area and the treatment rooms and the triage rooms and all the rest of it. And so I'm in there now, and I'm hooked up to a trip. I'm seeing everything. There was a guy who, there's the nurse who I'm going to assume like she's like the head nurse, the one like running the floor. What speed was? Let's go back onto this one. What speed did I start at? 18. Okay. We'll go back to green. The nurse running the floor, and she's on the phone and she's talking to someone, and she's basically ringing around other nurses, seeing if they can come in because she's 5 nurses short from sickness and COVID and whatever else. So this is the thing that you don't see normally. Have I gone up too much on that one? So this is why I'm, all these things are all sort of combining, and I'm like, yeah, just sit. Like, I think part of my mindset was like, do you know when you take your car to a garage, your car doesn't give the mechanics grief. It doesn't like, hey, are you gonna fix me or what? It's your car just sits there and waits until they come and sort it out. And that's kind of what I was like. It's like, look, I know I'm not in any immediate danger. I'm in a hospital. The place is full of doctors and nurses. I'm sure if anything happens to me, I'll be fine. So just wait it out. I am going to be anywhere. So let's just be here and sort it out. So anyway, I think we can run green now, give it a test. Remember the train. This one's only got 2 trains. Oh, was there a block break there? Not allowed to remove that. Huh, okay. Maybe we'll run them all on 2 trains. Later on, what's the speed? Cool, we'll take that off and we'll test it. Where was I? Yeah, so I'm just sort of waiting now, and I'm having the medicines. I've had my tests. They're convinced. They've spoken to the surgeons. They're like, yeah, oh, no, I spoke to some of the doctors, and they're like, yeah, we'll get the surgery team to come and speak to you. Basically sit tight and wait, basically. And that kind of wraps up this part of the story, and hopefully this coaster as well. So where are we in the story now? I'm at the point where it's the day of the surgery. I've been in the hospital now for ages, since second hospital. The first one was sort of the one to do the triage because it would have been quicker than going to the busy hospital. Haven't, what did I say? I haven't eaten since 2 o'clock the morning, the afternoon before, and I was like a little bowl of cereal. Haven't slept properly since around that time as well. Haven't been to the toilet for a poo for since, what is it, Friday now, since Wednesday morning at like 6:30. I remember it because I just finished work. So it's over 48 hours. But generally, I'm okay. I'm in the best place that I could be. So yeah, I'm in sort of good spirits. And let's have a look for the stats on green. Again, we're aiming for about 8. What was the time? What was the... Do you know what? Look at that. Look at the sync. Look at the ride time. It's not that far apart. And considering the length, the excitement's fine because with synchronization bonus and interactions, I'm sure that'll be fine. And if not, we just chuck a little bit of scenery down and it'll pass it, no problem. Yeah, but that ride time, that's cool. And the length, because even if you got them exactly the same, they probably wouldn't match up once you got like if one coaster has a train full of fatties, and because all the guests have got like a random weight attributed to them, so you could have a train full of guests that are heavier than another train, so that would adjust it. So I mean, if they could all link up going into that bridge, that would be awesome, but I don't know if we're going to get that lucky. I mean, I could make it so it does. I'm not putting that much effort into it. So yeah, that's gonna conclude this part. But for you, I'll be back in a few seconds. Okay, yellow and green are done. Did I rename? Yes, I did. So this one then is going to be red. Actually, I think maybe we should do red last, because that's the red is going to be the red's the standard twister. Which one did I just rename? I renamed that one. Let's do orange. And then this one is going to be pink. I think we'll do orange because the one in the middle is the standard twister. So we can make that one crazy. And we could make them all crazy, but I think that one will be better crazy because with the standard twister, we've got things like boosters, and I mean we could even use the launched lift hill, which would be probably crazy. Okay, anyway, so let's have a look. Let's crack on with orange. Let me just double check I'm recording. Yes. Sorry, broken the magic. Okay, so let's go up. Are we gonna go all the way up to the... If we go there. And then what if these ones go down vertically like that? So you might be able to see them. Or what if they come back this way and then do it? Like that. Down from 190 feet. I'm not going to go vertically up, because I want the coasters to be like a couple of miles long or whatever. So back up to 180, closer to the station, quite far away. So this is on the outside. The next one's going to be on the inside. So if we do that, because the other one's going to be on the inside. Okay, on the outside. So yeah, so I'm in the hospital now. I'm in the backstage area. And they're prepping me. basically this is the day of the surgery. So they're hooking me up to drips and all that. So it's coming up to sort of to midday. They hook me up. They give me a chair to sit down at the front of the sort of the. Oh, I'll tell you one thing I didn't tell you about. At the shift change, this nurse came in, like this like crazy redhead nurse came in, took strong like Essex accent, so like people in the rest of the world won't have a clue probably what I'm. If you've ever seen any of Hermitcraft, if you've ever heard Stress Monster, imagine someone that sounds a bit like that, but kind of like the redhead from Orange is the New Black, and I can't remember the name of the actress, but she also had her own show, also on Netflix, where she was stuck in like a time loop, like Groundhog Day. Anyway, so she comes over, she looks at my notes, and she just laughs at me, and she goes, "What do you want to have an appendix out of your age for? I had mine out when I was like 11." It's just like, I laugh because how absurd is it? And honestly, I kind of, after being stuck there for that much time, I kind of needed sort of someone to just be a bit sort of wacky, and I suppose that's probably how she's sort of, what do they call, the bedside manner. You kind of need someone that's sort of just gonna make you laugh, I suppose. So yeah, so I'm in the chair at the front. On this, they give you different rates, different drips, like that'll last like different amounts of time. So I'm on like this like 4-hour drip or something now. So now I'm like, oh god, I hope I'm going to wait here for that long. So anyway, and then they bring out the food cart. Bear in mind, I'm nil by mouth. So they bring out the food cart, the hotel services that they're called. So that's they call the people who work in like catering and cleaning and all the rest of it. And this like right in front of me, that was there, and they sat me down right in front of it. And I'm there with my saline bag of nothing flavored water being injected straight into my arm. And then I've got piping hot food being served like right in front of me. And then this is where I find out about the delays for the ambulance, because there's a shortage of beds, and that's why it's sort of taken so long to get me from the waiting area to like, as well, to be into like getting ready for surgery, because they could have done it first thing in the morning if they had spare beds. They didn't. And so the reason why you've got, I haven't changed the color of that one. The reason why, one of the reasons for the delays in the ambulances is because they've got some of the ambulances on the back of the accidents and emergency department using the ambulances as overspill beds. So they'll keep a certain amount of ambulances for the absolute emergencies, but then the lesser problems are using the remaining ambulances that are sort of, the remaining ambulances will prioritize the absolute emergencies, your heart attacks, your strokes, that sort of thing, people run over or whatever. But then the minor things like appendicitis or whatever, people like me, then they're the ones who are like, yeah, it's going to be a 7-hour delay. And I'm like, don't worry, I can get myself there. So that explained that. And then we want to get over, what's this? This is the stand-up coaster. Maybe we need a trim brake here, just in case. I haven't put any photo sections on any of these. It's no money, who cares? So I've been sat down in front of this food cart, and then one of them comes over after a while, for like about an hour. She's like, oh, I'm really sorry, I didn't realize I sat you down. Of all the places I could have sat you, I sat you right behind. It's fine, you know. But yeah, it was I think there was chicken goujons there, basically big dippers, fancy dippers, and yeah, I would have been very happy to have eaten some of that right now. But obviously, if I had have eaten anything, my well, my weight would have had to have started again. So it's fine. At this point, I wasn't actually that hungry. I suppose a combination of the drugs and are we gonna get? Let's have a look. We've got one. Let's look at these a second. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I'm in the wrong space. We can do that and that. Right, which one's this? This is the stand-up twister. What if we do... Oh, that's in the way. What if we do this? And then up like that. No, okay. We're messed up slightly. I've gone... There you go. They're all slightly off the ground, which looks better, I think, because it's still got the little pillar. Now you never see roller coasters that are, I know it's something I normally do, but you never see roller coasters sort of on the ground like that. They've usually got some sort of support underneath them, haven't they? Yeah, so they are really sorry for, because at this point, I haven't eaten for a day and all the rest of it. So that's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm just waiting now, biding my time, and then I'm not sure if before or after this I'd spoken to. Oh, someone's knocking the door. I won't be a second. Okay, sorry. Delivery at the door. He didn't have a bad foot, so cool. Little call back there. So where was I? Yeah, so I'd had the sort of the consultation with the surgery team and the anesthesiologist. I'd signed loads of forms saying I didn't have any loose teeth or anything, because that's something because apparently they have to put like a tube down your throat, like intubate you or something when you have because the anesthesiologist obviously gives you the stuff to knock you out, and then he has to monitor all your vitals throughout the procedure to make sure basically that you don't die. So I'd already looked up on my phone. Incidentally, it's quite weird, like how I remember when I had back when I had my wisdom teeth out, there was a thing like you couldn't use your phones in hospitals. There was signs up everywhere. Don't use your phones, don't use your phones, blah blah blah. Although you'd see all the doctors and nurses wandering around with their phones, but there was signs you couldn't use your phone. But then when you go to this hospital now, it's fine. And I remember doing like a speed test, and I was getting like 200 meg download speeds. So I was like, "This is great. This is like a holiday." Um, so yeah, so I'd done some research, and it's the thing. It's like having anesthetic, like that general anesthetic. It's not like sleep. Your brain basically shuts off. So, would that be too? What about if we go? I want to try and match it up there. Yes, your brain sort of. It's not quite there, is it? So we either force it to try and get it, or we just make it look like it's not even trying to be. So we'll make it so it's not even trying to be. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so your brain is basically like shut off. I suppose it's like switching off a computer. It's not like when you're sleeping and you're in sort of like a computer's in standby mode or low power mode. Low power mode. So there's things going on. It's not. It's just off. There's nothing going. Probably enough to keep your vitals going, but that's it. So they explain everything, and they're like, look, it's a routine operation, but as everything, there's a small chance something could go wrong. It's like a couple of percent. But then you think, how many of these do they do? They must do one of these every few days. So even if it's a small percent, like 3%, that means, and they're doing one every few days, that means like at least once a year, something's going to go wrong. What if that one person's me? Anyway, try not to worry about it too much. I agree to everything, sign everything. I'd already spoken to Mrs. Stew, and I told her, look, there's no point coming down to the hospital today. I'm just going to be back and forth, and I don't know what time I'm going in. So, I'll see you when I see you, basically. So I'm waiting now to go into surgery. They've given me a robe, but they told me I can keep my tracksuit bottoms on. So I'm not really a tracksuit or jogger sort of person, but given the fact that you've got like a bad stomach, having that elasticated waist, it really helps. So it's sort of taken to wearing them. They're like, you can keep them on, and then all of a sudden now it's time for the surgery. And so they come along and they're like, right, time for the surgery. You need to change out of those now. So they tell me, they direct me into this toilet. Now, the toilet was in the backstage area near to where I was, and there'd been this old guy who was backing for the toilet. So they sent me in there, and as soon as I walked through the door, I was met with this revolting smell. And then that's when I noticed, then it looked like someone had just sprayed poo all over the walls. And I turned around and I walked out, and I just said to them, I'm really sorry. I can't go in there. I'll be sick. And I told her why. And then she was like, so one of them ran in to look. And then the other one was like, it's fine. Come with me. I'll show you. We'll find another one. So I'm not sure if it was Black Widow's sister that took me. No, she was on night. So it was someone else took me to find the other toilet, and so I changed out of them into my robe. I had to leave my bag in the A&E department, which I don't know why they can't just put it at the bottom of the bed, but whatever. Because obviously once I get out of surgery and I come around, I'm going to need that to message people and let them know I'm okay. But if I haven't got it, I can't do that. So anyway, I'm what have we got? 110. So why don't we do a little bit of we're on it. Oh, we don't want to do too much. Such stand-up coaster, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so I was going to think, let's do some terrain coaster type stuff, but I don't want to do too much ups and downs because I don't want to have too many drops. But where do we need to get back to? We need to sort of go over that way. Do you want a shallow sort of slope? So I'm all in my gown now. I've hop on the bed, and then one of the porters then leads me up to the theater. So basically you're on the bed, and you've been pushed through all these corridors and through all these doors, and up into a lift, and then up And this is where you realize then you're kind of helpless, and it's sort of, for an analogy, I suppose it's like, do you know when you get on a roller coaster and it's that sort of period where you're on that sort of slow meander to the chain lift and then on the chain lift, and you're at that stage where everything now is out of my control. There's nothing I can do. The roller coaster is in charge now. So I'm there now. We're in the little sort of room outside, and then I meet up again with the anesthesiologist. He goes through all the stuff again with me, no loose teeth, etc., etc. And I made the joke, I preempted. I was like, no loose teeth, etc. They explain everything to me, and then, even though at this point I wasn't really in any pain because of all the medicine and stuff, they injected me with what, I don't know what drugs they injected me with, but actually, pause that. In this brief period of time, this is when the thoughts about what's going to happen into my mind, and I know the fact that there's no sleep. You're not sleeping when you've got the anesthetic. It's basically your brain is shut down, and all I can think of is, what if that's it? What if I get put under, and then nothing? There is nothing else. I never wake up. I never come to. I'm never brought around. This is it. This is my last moment, my last sort of memory. Hang on. I'm welling up now. Sort of. Let's go back to the coaster. And then when I'm at that stage where I'm just like about to panic, I suppose, that's when they injected me with the drugs, and all of a sudden, nothing mattered. It was like, there's nothing at all. There's no, your inner voice in your head, that's gone. And for a brief moment, a few seconds, I don't know if whether it was euphoria or just the fact that for the first time ever, there's nothing in my brain, just complete silence. And for that moment, that was probably the best feeling I've ever had. And then nothing. Then I don't remember anything after that. Obviously I do, but like hours later. So yeah, God, that got a little bit emotional. Yes, I didn't mean to. I'm not gonna say sorry. That got a bit sort of, yeah, because I've thought about that quite a bit. I need to get back to here. We need to get back to here. I've thought about that quite a bit afterwards. And I don't know. I've got nothing. I don't know what to say. It's just sort of, how is that moment of absolute sort of panic to just, this is amazing. Wow. Yeah, but I don't know. We probably need to go up there to get over that. Can we go? There you go. That might be that's like a little headshot, right? The dog's eating something. I can hear him. That's okay. The video this part will be wrapped up soon anyway. So that'll be a headshot per element. So I'll give her a little boost. What if we bring it? Yeah, so I've thought about that quite a bit, and I don't know. I got nothing sort of profound out of it. It's just the fact that for a moment I was in a bit of a panic. Another little head chopper, and then they injected me with the drugs, and I don't know if that's like the stuff that puts you under, or like the stuff they give you before the stuff they put you under. But yeah, for that brief moment, yeah, I don't want to do that just in case we got too many. For that brief moment, it was an amazing. I don't know what that dog's. Sounds like he's opening the envelopes, which I wouldn't put past him, but let's take that off. Take that off. Okay, start it. Cool. So this is now going on its way. Yeah, I got no sort of answers to it. Just sort of the fact that I went from sheer despair to I don't even know if it was. I remember telling people afterwards that, oh, the drugs they gave me were amazing, but I don't even know if it was that or whether they're just the fact that, like I said, for the first time ever, there was just like no noise, and that was amazing. That in itself was amazing. Did I go under the bridge? I didn't. I missed the. How can I miss the bridge? That was no. I did go under the bridge. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so since I'm gonna have to be sorting this out, I took a quick break then, to find out what the dog was doing, and so how high is that then? 100, 180? Oh, all right. It's probably because it was. So I might have to. Right. Yeah, the dog was eating some sort of. I think it's Mrs. Stew's car tax letter. You can do it online, so it's not a big deal. Um, There you go. Will that work? Okay, so like I was saying, I got no answers. It was just the fact that for that brief moment, there was nothing. And just that nothing felt amazing. So I don't whether like do you know when people say that they see like a white light at the end and or a tunnel or something like that? Maybe that's what that is. Maybe it's just your brain shutting down, and that's amazing. That in itself is amazing. I don't know. Will this train make it? Just about. That's fine because once there's that wasn't fine. Because when there's people on the train, it's going to move. It's going to be a lot faster. Okay, 135. Let's just 135. What's 155? Well, if it didn't make the 135, it's not gonna make that, is it? Like I said earlier, up and then down, but not, and then back up, but not up as much. So obviously I've not done that. Oh, now I'm gonna have to redo this, which is annoying. Okay, let's just go straight across, see if that lines up. It does. Cool. Do you know, I know it's a long, straight boring bit of track, but if you imagine the speed it would be going through, I think that might be quite cool. How high is that? 110. That might be okay. Okay, so let's. I'm gonna fast forward it. Mix it around there. I'm sure once there's guests on, the extra weight will be fine. The only thing that might be an issue is how long it takes to run. Now, they're not synchronized, so the fact that this one's coming back at more or less the same time is meaningless. Okay. I mean, I'm not overly concerned with synchronizing them up. 2 minutes 27. Like, if they're all way out, I'm not really bothered. But if 4 out of the 5 of them are around the same amount of time and one of them's a lot slower, I'll probably go back and change it. What was the 8.4? Oh, actually, do you know what? I might. Okay, so we haven't done anything drastically different. We know it's going to be fine. It's going to be slightly quicker. We haven't got the excitement, but that's fine. I'm sure. Have any of them got the excitement so far? Yellow, 8.84. So that is orange. No, 8.11. I'm sure the interactions will be fine with that. Okay, I'm happy with that. So the 3 coasters done. As far as my story is concerned, I'm currently in surgery. So I don't remember what happened in surgery. So I can't tell you about that. Okay, so 3 out of the 4 coasters done. Let's do the 4th one now. So this one is going to be pink. And as far as the story is concerned, I am currently, let's change all these to 10 minutes. I'm currently in surgery. So I don't know how long I was in there for. I'm going to assume it was a couple of hours, an hour or two. Well, I'm going to assume it was at least 2 to 3 hours. I don't know. I don't remember. I think I could probably look at try and work it out for what time, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. So when I was brought around, it was so bizarre. So let me just adjust my mic. It was so bizarre. So I'm going to assume that the room I was in was an empty ward. And You know, when I said earlier that they didn't have enough beds, what I think that means is that clearly they're going to have enough beds. That physically there is literally enough beds. But I think there's probably some sort of rule where they can't have, they've got to have a certain number of staff per patient on the ward. So that's probably, if they haven't got beds, I think what that means is they're at their limit, and they can't have any more. So I think that's what that means. So when I came to, I was in this, what looked like, I think, an empty ward that had been sort of repurposed as a storage room. Right, let's do that trick again with the, I don't know if this works, but we'll do that with the, taking that off. Oh, did I? Where have I gone? Oh, why isn't, that's weird. Why won't that work? What have I done wrong here? I've done something wrong with the orange one, haven't I? I didn't want to have to go back and faff with ones I've already done. That's why it won't work. It's not because of anything else other than the fact that there's nothing, there's too high for support. Why I should look at when there's an error message, I really should look at what it says. Right, let's go back into the mountain tool. And do that. Yes, yeah, so it looks like I think the ward had been, I mean, my memory's quite hazy, as you can appreciate. It looked like the ward has been, and I'm piecing this together with prior information when I had another a minor op where I didn't have general anesthetic, and the operating room there was like, did look like a storage room. So this ward looked like it's been repurposed as like a storage room. And as I'm coming to, there's this guy and this girl there, this man and this woman there. If I say girl when I mean woman, it's not, I don't mean anything derogatory. It's just there's this man and a woman there, so I'm going to assume it was like a doctor and a nurse. And I think it was the nurse that I would realize would be the one that was on the day shift the next day. And I think it was the anesthesiologist as well. In fact, I know it was the anesthesiologist, but at the time, I didn't know who these people were. I'd spoken to the guy several times before. In fact, he was probably the last person I spoke to before the operation, before I was knocked out. But I didn't have a clue who this guy was. And he was trying to talk to me. And I don't know what he's saying, because all I'm thinking of is, why am I on a bed in a storage, in like a warehouse? That's all I could think of. Is, who are these people? And the guy just looks at me and goes, you haven't got a clue who I am, have you? And I said, no, because I didn't. And they just laugh. And I'm like, and then next thing I know, so I must have dozed off. And next thing I know, I'm on the ward in this room. There's, I'm in the, so there's a ward with a room with 4 beds. I'm next to the window. There's a guy opposite me with the curtains drawn around his bed. There's an older guy diagonally opposite me, and then the bed to my side is empty. It's getting towards evening. They told, one thing I do remember, they told me I should be fine I'll be fine to eat tomorrow. Because I remember making a joke, oh, so we'll have hot dogs at midnight then, shall we? And so I was asking about my stuff, about my bag. Because obviously I want to message people and let them know, I'm out of surgery, I'm fine. But no one knows what it was. So they'd messaged, they were ringing down to the nurses on the ward were ringing. By this time, that's the night shift they're in. They're ringing down to the A&E to try and get someone to bring it up. But they're like, well, we haven't got anyone to bring it up. And the porters are like, well, that's not our job. So, because obviously their job is to move patients, not stuff. So in the end, one of the nurses went down to get it for me. And this is why I said they should have like a compartment in the bottom of the bed where they can just put your stuff so that you've got it when you wake up. Anyway, so what coaster is this? This is a flawless. Okay, so we could probably, would we be a bit crazy with this one? I don't know. So I'm on the ward now. They're listening to, they got the telly on with some, I don't know, cheesy music radio station. But that's fine, whatever. You know, they've been in, I don't know how long each of them have been in, so I'm not going to whinge about it. I've got my own stuff. So I remember needing to go to the toilet, and as I stood up, and one of the nurses, are you sure? Are you okay? Okay. And I stand up. I'm fine. But I look at like the curtains, and it just looked like they were scrolling. Just scrolling. And I'm like, but eventually it steadied. I took myself off to the toilet. It was Bernie when I peed. Still haven't pooed, by the way. It's now Friday night. Hadn't pooed since 6:30 Wednesday morning. Hadn't eaten since 2:00 Thursday afternoon. Hadn't properly slept since that time as well. Yeah, so they're giving me like pain meds and things, because I can obviously feel some pain in my stomach when I'm moving. But generally everything's fine. I get my phone eventually, and so I can let everyone know I'm fine. And then I remember looking at the time, it was coming up towards 10 p.m. And I can feel myself dozing off, but I can hear myself sort of snoring. You know when you're lying on your back and you feel it, you do that thing where your nose just goes like that, and you sort of, and I'm like, I wake myself up and I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. Ironically, as I'll explain later, I don't want to be that guy who snores and keeps everyone awake. And then where do we need to get to? We need to get, where's the bridge? The bridge is over there. Okay. I'll do a straight piece there in case I need to put a break in, but I don't want to put a break in because this is going to be quite a long track and I want it to be sort of absolutely jamming along. Next to the track. Right, down from 140. So I message out everyone, tell them, look, I'm fine. And then at this point now, I realize that the other two guys are asleep and they're snoring really loudly. And not only are they both snoring, but one of them's got sleep apnea. And so if you don't know what that is, it's something that when you're sleeping, your throat or your air pipe closes or something. So then they end up choking until it sort of judders them and then they breathe normally. So not only have I got two guys snoring, but one of them is then every few minutes choking. I mention it to the nurse and they don't seem that concerned because obviously they must be used to it, you know. And at this point now, I've gone way past the stage where I'm dozing off. I'm now wide awake. My body's sort of still in night shift mode. And I'm just like, look, I'm not going to get any sleep tonight. I had earplugs. I've got, like I said, I've got smarts. I'm SIMRT. I'm smart enough to have taken my charger and, all the rest of it. So, we'll do another straight piece in case I need it. What about if we could go a little crazy with this bit? What about if we go barrel roll? Is that the right way around? Yes. Quarter loop. Cool. Yeah, and there's two different nurses as well on the night shift, and they were like alternating, coming to see me, and they both had different approaches. Let's just say, and the younger, so one of them is elderly white lady, who's clearly been a nurse for decades and decades and decades, and she's been there, she's done it all, she knows her stuff. And the other one, maybe late, coming up towards middle-aged Asian lady. Again, bags of experience, everything done by the book, really nice and chatty and friendly. She was kind of obviously not best pleased with the other one. I don't know. Well, I do know why, but I won't get into it. But she kind of thought that, you know what it's like. You think that everyone should do things the way you do things, and if they don't, But yeah. So could we do something a little crazy here as well? Maybe a quarter loop there. Would that be too? I know it's lower than the others, but no, I don't want to do it lower than the others. I want to do it the same. And I will explain why that, round that sort of story between the two nurses off later. It will become relevant. So anyway, I don't get any sleep, and they both seem surprised every time they come in the room because they have to come and check on me every so often, and to give me medicines and stuff as well, and painkillers and antibiotics and all the rest of it. And they both seem surprised that I'm still awake because I didn't sleep at all. And then I'm looking online as well because I know I've got it into my mind now. I'm having breakfast. I'm getting up. At this point now, I'm like, right, 6 o'clock now. Once 6 a.m. comes, I'm gonna. What about if we do? No, we've got one inversion, and I know that's not a lot, but considering the amount of drops that we've got, I don't want to go too crazy. In case I have to go back and, the drops make it too intense. So I've got into my mind now, 6 a.m. I'm getting up, I'm getting washed and dressed, and I'm gonna I'm gonna get myself some breakfast. And if I don't like the hospital food, because I am quite fussy, if I don't like the hospital food, I'm gonna go either to the canteen, or I'm gonna go to, there's like a Costa there, which is like a coffee shop. It was like a Starbucks, I suppose. I'm gonna try there, and if not, I'd found this greengrocers of all places on Google Maps that wasn't too far away. And I'd seen, when I'd been looking out the window, I'd seen a dog walking his dog through a fence there was a path like leading to a right of way across into the area where the greengrocers was. So I knew it wasn't far. No problem. That'll be my last resort. Will be, I'll just have some apples and oranges and even bananas, and they smell horrible, but whatever. So 6 a.m. comes. Meanwhile, I'm scratching as well. My sort of, the bit between your belly button and your sort of your bits, scratching that area, and I'm like, God, this is a bit itchy, and I couldn't work out why, and I didn't even cross my mind. Meanwhile, the empty bed gets filled, but this guy is brought in, and he's not sleeping as well because of the snoring. And I'm like, oh, I hope this guy doesn't think there's something wrong with me because I'm scratching. Or he doesn't notice I'm scratching myself, and where I'm scratching myself, etc. And it was only when I'd finally got up to wash and dress that I'd realised that, obviously, because they were operating on that part of me, they'd given me a bikini line for want of a better word. So that's why, obviously, it was itchy. And right, so I need to get back to there. So what is it? I'd been up all night downloading new games on my phone and whatever, and I was up, I was washed, I was dressed, and I went and sat in the day room because I just needed some peace and quiet because the noise of the snoring. I had my phone, I was listening to the radio all night. I had earplugs. I didn't, since I wasn't going to be sleeping, I didn't see the point. I just put the radio on and listened to that all evening. But I just needed some peace and quiet. So I sat in the day room for an hour or so until the shift change, and then they asked me to leave because they were going to have a staff meeting and they were going to discuss patients, it's confidential, etc. No problem. So I went and I found myself a quiet sort of corner at the bottom of the corridor, and which caused some of the doctors or nurses to panic slightly when they saw a pair of legs sticking out from behind this cart. And I had to call. I was like, no, I'm fine. I just need a bit of peace and quiet, that's all. So, and then I spoke to, just before, actually, I think as she was leaving, I spoke to the elder of the 2 nurses that was leaving. And she was saying that she'd actually retired, but with COVID, she came back out of retirement to help out. So there's just another reason why I was sort of trying to be like the best patient I could be, if that doesn't sound like too cheesy. But then I went back into the day room, and then there'd also been a bit of a background dialogue because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm having breakfast, and they were like, no, you're not until we get the all clear. And I'm like, they said I'd be fine to eat. Oh, but we need to just. So I'm like, I'm devastated at this point. So it's now coming up towards about 40 something hours since I've last eaten. About that since I've slept properly, aside from a couple of minutes here and there. It's probably about 60 hours since I last pooed. My patience is wearing really thin. And then I finally get the go ahead that I can eat. And as I'm watching the lady serving hot food,
like bacon and eggs and sausage and stuff like that from the cart. She comes over to me and says, "Would you like some cereal or toast?" And I'm like, "Can I? Is that it? Am I not able to have something hot?" And she's like, "Have you ordered anything?" And I'm like, "What? How would I even know to do that?" I'm like, "Is there nothing?" And she's like, "Look, do you want toast or not?" And I'm like, "Yes, please." Because I said, "Look, what about the canteen? Is out?" And she's, "Oh, it's staff only." I'm like, "Oh." So like, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I'm just, oh, and I'm just, and so I have this toast, and it's cold, and I'm eating it, and it's horrible, and I'm just like, I finish it off, and I'm like, right, I'm gonna go and get some food. They're not giving me anything here. I'm gonna go and get some food. So I got my wallet, and I headed down to I got a fresh mask from the counter, from the main counter, on the ward. Um, so just in case I needed it. And is that going to meet up? Not quite. And I went down to the canteen, which was really close. And there's like 2 doctors in there, sat down. It was a massive canteen, 2 doctors. The place is like 99% empty. There's a few people behind the counter. And I asked for breakfast. And this guy says, "Are you staff?" And I'm like, "No." This is look at me, do I look? I'm like, "No." And so he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't serve it with staff only." But then this lady, oh, absolute angel, she says, "Yeah, you can serve him, but he has to take out." I'm like, "That's great, that's fine, that's fine." So I had this at breakfast. It's like sausage, egg, bacon, hash brown, whatever, more egg, I don't know. And I went over to the front where the Costa was. I knew the hospital from being there before, and I'd found this spot around the back on a fire escape where I was waiting for Mrs. Stew. She was having some tests. And I remember it because I was playing balloons. I was like, trying to do some, like, trying to work out like a quick farming strategy or whatever. So I sat myself down there and I suddenly realized, hang on a second. No one knows you're here. At least go to the front door, then eat. That way, then there's people walking past you all the time. So I did that. There was an ambulance, sort of one of those like minibus type ambulances. Let's start this up. Let's see what happens. So I knew if anything happens, I'm safe. And whilst I'm there, this guy comes down, this nurse, he comes down and he's like, young guy, must have been, I don't know, 20, and he's, I don't know, early 20s, and he's like, "Oh, there you are." He's like, "I found you some food." I was like, "Oh," but obviously you could see I'm eating. And it's like, I was like, "Oh, thank you very much." But I explained to him. I said, "Look, I just need it," and I explained how long it's been. He goes, "No, it's fine. It's totally cool." He was, he was a good laugh, and he said, "Look, it's next to your bed if you want it, but I've got to go back up." So he went back up, and then I finished off my food. Turns out that the Costa doesn't open on Saturdays, so I couldn't get. I was looking forward to a hot chocolate, but I couldn't get that. So I went back up, and then I could hear some muttering about a breakfast and all the rest of it. So obviously I'd upset someone. I didn't mean to. I really, really didn't mean to. I tried my best to be the perfect patient. It's just that in that instant where not only had I been told I couldn't have breakfast, but also the fact that I had to have cold toast, and that was it. And I should have known, I should have ordered some. I got frustrated. So I went back in, and there was sausage and a thick piece of bacon and some runny, reconstituted scrambled eggs. They're gross. I wouldn't have eaten that, but I knew I was going to eat that sausage and I was going to eat that bacon, even though I was full at this point. I was going to eat them because there were comments about me. "Oh, well, we got him breakfast and he's not even eating it." And I'm like, I'm going to eat it, and I was going to eat it in the hallway so people saw me. Because I don't know why they were being funny, and I spoke to that guy again, the nurse, later, and I said to him, "I don't know why I've heard them mention it and being funny about it." And the guy's like, they weren't like medical staff, they were hospital services staff who were like this, with the catering people. And he goes, I don't know why they like it, but honestly, it's fine. Don't worry about it. And yeah, it's sort of, it was coming up towards the time where Mrs. Stu was going to come and pick me up. She'd already phoned. The person on reception had spoken to the nurse, etc. Well, he must be feeling better. He's gone to get himself a breakfast. And so, but she'd already, oh, there you go, 8.876. That's almost a pass. Once we do synchronization, that'll be over 9. They gave me my meds. They had to change my dressings because I've got 3. Let's see. So just underneath my belly button, I've got 4 stitches from where they cut me there. Just to the left of that, I've got an incision where there's now a scar now where there's 3 stitches, and then just below the belly button, sort of a few inches below the belly button, sort of where the bikini line was. There was another incision there where there was another 3 stitches. So I've got 3 wounds. They need to change my dressings. And as I'm laying on the bed ready for them to change them, I can feel like a pain in my shoulders. And this is where they're explaining that this is where all the gas is starting to escape. Because when you have keyhole surgery, they pump CO2 into you to sort of inflate you to make it easier for them to rummage around and do whatever they need to do. But that gas has got to escape. And when it escapes, it's very painful. And yeah, so then Mrs. Stu picked me up, and fair play, I'd written a big list of things for her to bring me because I didn't know if I was going to be staying in or not. So she brought me made me peanut butter sandwiches and crisps and whatever else and stuff, because like I said, I'm fussy and I don't know if I'm going to like the food that they've got, even if they weren't going to serve me. So, but thankfully I was able to leave and go home. They gave me all the medicines I need to take. And yeah, so we left the hospital. I got home, and the surreal experience of being in a hospital and being in the waiting room with all those people and all those conversations that you hear. At one point, a woman brought her son in because they were camping, and he'd swallowed a coin. One of the nurses had a phone call to say that they were bringing in basically, for want of a better word, a junkie. And she said that she knew her, and she's like, she's been in a few times, and she's like, she always refuses help. And if she gives me any hassle, she used stronger terms than if she gives me any hassle, they're phoning the police and they're getting her thrown out. You know, it was a real experience. It felt like a lot longer than it was. But I was home, and the 4th coaster's now done. Cool. Okay, so that's testing. That's not. We've done that one, haven't we? Oh, we haven't got the stats for that because we shortened that one, didn't we? Pink. What was it again? It is 8.8. So yellow is on 8.86. See, the interactions have boosted it. 8.15. So maybe some interactions with green would be handy. Probably orange as well. 8.76. That's fine. What's the time on this one? Right time, 2 minutes. Pink could probably do with a trim break somewhere. I'm wondering if, although it doesn't need it, if a break here ahead of the Emelman. Is there an Emelman? Or dive loop? Emelman's the other way around. Is it? No, that's a dive loop. And the Melman is going up and then into the twist, into the barrel roll. This is a dive loop because obviously it's diving. Let's run fast forward a second. I have to be careful because I don't want to take off so much speed that it doesn't make it over the rest of the hills. But that should be fine. And all that does, that little bit of speed being taken off will take, obviously, speed off for the rest of the track. And that should slow it down a little bit. Enough where it brings it into the sort of the window of 213, 28. Orange is still a bit much, and I shortened it, 224. Where it might be fine. Right, it's coming around. It's pointless fast forwarding it now. Let's have a quick look. I will start red shortly and finish off the story. Don't know how long this video is going to be. It'll take as... Oh, it makes it. Bit slower than I had in mind. So what we could do is we'll change that to 40, so it'll be fine. It'll be fine from now. Right, okay. So yeah, my general rule for videos is they take as long as they take. But I know some people like the long videos. Some people prefer the long videos. Some people prefer the ones where I'm talking a lot. Some people don't. I like to think that there's a good enough mix, that there's like something for everyone. I mean, as long as you like Rollercoaster Tycoon. I mean, as the coming era person who commented on the Sasquatch rollercoaster videos, like, why am I even here? Why was this suggested? I don't know, because you like Bigfoot. Okay, so this one can be a little bit crazier then. And wouldn't it be cool as if it times so well that this one comes up whilst the other two are dropping? Now, it would only be, if that works out, the only thing cooler than that would be if I had the foresight to leave a gap so this one could split that. But yeah, imagine coming down that way, you see that train shooting up. You would be terrified. Okay, so at this point of the story now, I'm now at home. I've got all my meds. Mrs. Stewart previously had an operation that required keyhole surgery, where she's got pretty much the same. We've pretty much got matching scars. We're like got his and her scars, or hers and his, because she had hers first. So I'm the copycat, I suppose. So she knows I'm starting to get a lot of pain now, especially from the gas coming out. So she knows what I'm going through, because that dog is barking because a cat's just come through the cat flap. So she knows the sort of pain I'm going to be going through from the air escaping. And the dog is now shut up. Right, it's not too tall. We learn from the flawless. And yeah, so she's looking after me. But by the time bedtime comes round, I'm in a lot of pain. I've been taking the pills. There was ones to take like like 3 times a day or whatever. And it's like at one point I'm taking like 3 different types of pills. But I'm not taking any painkillers because I've assumed that there's painkillers amongst these medicines. And that the nurse that came to tell me that I'd got the breakfast, I'd spoken to him before I left, and I told him, "Oh, look, it burns when I pee. Is there something?" And also the fact that I hadn't pooed in like a few days. And he said, "Look, the burning thing could be to do with the dye that they put in you," because I'd asked him about that when they did the MRI, I think it was. The other thing could be that the medicines that they're giving you do stop you pooing. So it could be that. So obviously, if it's a problem, if it continues to be a problem, speak to your doctor, whatever. So with that, I just assumed that they were painkillers. But then I'm in bed and I'm in agony. And the only reason I was able to get into bed or out of bed, whichever I need to do, was basically I'm managing to sit, but I can't like lift my legs up because I'm in so much pain that the pain stops me from moving. So Mrs. Stu was having to like lift my legs up and put them on the bed for me. And even then that's painful, but it's not as painful as me doing it myself. And then I can't sleep. I'm in so much pain I can't sleep. So I go down to make myself a cup of tea, and then I'm looking at the pills, and I Google them all. And then it's at this point where I realize that none of them, right, we're dropping from 125. How big is a large loop? It's at this point, 110. That should be okay. But I've gone the wrong way. I realize that none of these pills, the 3 that I've got, do I want to do that there? Now, if I do it there, there's a possibility, I don't know where we are on the track in relation to the others, they might see it, and it'd be better if it goes across the water as well. Yeah, so I realized there's actually no painkillers in this medicine, which was good, because honestly, before that, I remember thinking, I can't believe how much pain I'm in, and if I'm in this much pain when I wake up assuming I fall asleep, when I wake up tomorrow, then I don't know what I'm going to do, because I'm in absolute agony. I mean, even to the point where I was in tears. I was in that much pain. But I'd now found out that I can have painkillers. So that was great. So I took some, brought some up from next to the bed. So I've got some when I wake up. And yeah, I was able to fall asleep because like I hadn't slept properly since I don't know when. So it was Saturday night now. I hadn't slept properly since Thursday afternoon, however long that was. And so obviously I fell asleep, and then I woke up in the morning, pain, took some pills, took the edge off it. That was fine. I'm taking them throughout the day. But it was just less. It was a lot less pain. In fact, I think by that point, the next day, so it was Sunday now, I think I wasn't getting any more pain from the gas. I think that must have all gone, must have sort of dissipated. And that was the worst. So now the pain was just from the wounds. And that normal paracetamol would take the edge off that. When I had my wisdom teeth taken out, they gave me super strong paracetamol. That's the painkillers that we have, which were twice as strong as over-the-counter ones. But I didn't need that for this one. I just regular over-the-counter ones were fine. And then after a few days, it got to the point where I was taking the pills before bed, and then when I woke up in the morning to enable me to get up, so it wouldn't be painful when I get up. Throughout the day, yeah, there was a bit of pain, but I wasn't taking them because, as I said, I'm not much of a painkiller person. Like, if I don't need to take them, I won't take them. Oh, I'm slightly off there. But that's good. I'm close. I don't like to take them if I don't need to. And I think after that, the only time I took them during the day was we went to see Doctor Strange in the cinema, and I took them because I didn't want to be in pain in the cinema. It needs to go up at least one more. So I'll give it like a little head chopper. Now, I like the interaction through the emelman, but I don't like the fact that it's so late to the party, if you pardon the expression, with the bridge. Although the green one kind of is as well, so that's fine. And then up. Will it be fast enough to go over the top? Who knows? But the good thing is, it's too low as well. Do you know what we can do? I don't know if we can do it, but possibly we could extend pink slightly. Just 2 blocks. What are we doing? So I will lose the head chopper bonus, but that's fine because I don't really need it on the... And they'll probably they'll make it an extra like second or so slower. Cool. Yeah, so I only took them during the day for Doctor Strange. The other time it was just the antibiotics that I was taking. And then I remember so I had the surgery on the Friday. I got out of hospital on the Saturday. On the Monday, then I phoned work because I was due to be back in on the Wednesday. So I phoned reception to ask for my manager's extension. But coincidentally, the HR manager answered the phone. And so she could probably tell by my voice I was in some form of distress, and she asked what it was, and I sort of recognized the voice. And I explained what happened, and she was like, "Don't worry, leave everything to me." So that was that, and then a week later, then I rang my doctors to have a sick paper sent, by which point they'd had the notes from the hospital. So they're like, yeah, he's just had his appendix out. Of course he can't go back to work. So I sent that into work. So because here you can self-certify yourself for a week. Then after a week, then you've got to have a doctor's paper. So I had the doctor's paper then for the second week. Then due to my shift pattern, like I said before, you're basically working for 2 weeks, then you've got a week off. So I'd already had the first week off. My surgery was in. Then I was off for 2 weeks. Then I was off for a week again for the fourth week. And then by then I was feeling okay. So I went back to work then. But I was on light duties for the 2 weeks. Then I had my week off again. And yeah, so now I'm halfway through my next sort of tour, I suppose, of shift, if that is a term that people use. Yeah, and I'm back to normal now. I mean, obviously I have to be mindful that I can't do things that I might normally do, and I still, and I'll have to remember that for a while. Like we were planning on going away. When was it? Next month. We were planning on going away somewhere. We were gonna just like nowhere special, but we were probably gonna take in like a theme park or something. I think we were probably gonna go up somewhere north of England, and we were gonna probably check out maybe Flamingo Land, but I just don't see that as a good thing for me to be doing right at this moment. So we won't be doing that. So I'm not really sure what we're gonna do instead. But yeah, I'm on the mend. I've had a very, I suppose, surreal experience, an experience that most people who have their appendix out go through early on in life when they're a youngster. 8.8. So that one's, what was it again? I'm just looking out, see if I need to do any interactions. That's 8.8. That's 8.13. So that's gone up a little bit. That's 8.33. That's 8.93. What was the time on that? 2:24. Why is that so slow? I thought it would be a bit quicker. Ideally, orange. Shall we do it? Yeah, let's do it. Ideally, we get rid of this section here. Yes, I'm all right. I'm on the mend. I've had a real sort of weird experiences. So like I said, most people who have their appendix out have it out when they're a child, One more, maybe, and then a little up section, and then flatten out. Oh, I've gone too far. Well, I'm not adjusting it now, so we'll do that. Hopefully that won't tip it over the edge for as far as intensity is concerned. Which one did I got distracted. Green is the one that really needs it. So how about we what about why doesn't it like that? Is it too low? Now, I don't know if it's going to be too fast for that small loop, but you don't get the you don't get the sort of the interaction bonus with the loop from the large loops. So, at least I don't think. Block break. And then yeah, so as I was saying, I'm not fully recovered this stage. Because I mean, I suppose outside I am, but I don't know what's going on inside. I suppose they've got to do stuff. So there's still like every now and then I kind of some things hurt, and that's probably I probably didn't explain it properly. The reason why I don't like taking painkillers if I don't really need to is because like when I started getting up and about and taking the dog for a walk and stuff like that, I want to feel the pain if I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing so I can stop doing it. Whereas if I don't feel the pain, then I might carry on doing it and then it might make things worse. Does that make sense? I think it does. Right, so let's have a quick check of these. 8.92, so that's a pass. Orange isn't a pass. Red, we don't know yet. Green, we don't know, isn't. Yellow isn't a pass. Okay, so at this stage, we're not going to pass the scenario. But that's fine. As soon as we put synchronization on, they're all going to get a bonus. And even if we don't pass it, we can easily add something, some little bits of scenery or a little path or something else in order to get it to boost up. So where's red? What's red doing? Oh, it's still got the synchronization on. Okay, that's why. Oh, it's got the green train. That's weird. Right, let's correct that then. Yeah, so when I did go back to work, as like I said, I was on like halfway through, I did book a couple of shifts off because I felt they told me that it would take about 2 weeks for the stitches to sort of dissolve. But the problem I had was even though they were sort of dissolving, they were getting stuck to like the scabs on the wound. Sorry for that. Oh, that's going a bit fast. The pacing on this is off. So sorry for that mental image. Do you know what we could do? We could. I think that's probably worked out for the best, actually. So they were. So I won't repeat what I just said because it's kind of a gross sort of mental image, but the fact that they were getting sort of stuck was giving me a bit of pain. So I took like 2 shifts off. Is that gonna see now I could probably do with pink moving back to where it was, but whatever. What if I do that? So yeah, I took a couple of. Is that bush? Right, so we want to slow it down a bit. And this is where I didn't leave. I haven't left any gaps where I normally would leave a gap. Okay, so this is where we're going to have a booster. Okay, let's run it on. Fast forward until, yeah, this is where I should have left. Sometimes I'll leave like a straight piece of track in order that I can go back and add like a break if I need to. I haven't done that on this one. Yeah, so the stitches were getting stuck and that was being quite sore. So I took an extra couple of days, and then by the time I went back then on the Monday, it was for a couple more shifts before my week off. Yeah, that's way too fast. No, that needs to go. These boosters need to be a lot faster then. How fast are all the other ones going at the? Yeah, and then by the time I got back, then after that, I was fine. So I'm still taking it easy. But those another thing as well, because I did mention how I lost sort of focus and what's the word? I'm losing focus now. I lost focus with the last scenario that we did. I just kind of got bored of it, and as I said, I was finding so many other things to do as well. And one of them was I got hooked on that certain celebrity trial. So those two shifts off sort of coincided with the verdict as well. So, or the final, sorry, not the verdict, the final, the final day, the closing arguments and such. So, yeah, it's been a bizarre couple of months, to say the least. But pretty much over it now. You know, no theme park trips for a while. So this section is going way too fast. So I need to slow it down. But that's fine, because then it'll hit the boosters. I think the pacing should be fine after that. I mean, that's a bit fast. And we can put a cheeky little break there. So, but yeah, we need to adjust this here. I suppose the easiest way would be, oh, wrong way. Dropping from 195. There you go. Right. So wrong way again. Right. If we do this all the way back, it's lagging to there. Right. Now, if we just do the vertical drop, $165 to $130. That's and we'll go wrong way. We'll go. That is the right way. Right, so we need to scrub off a little bit of speed there. I've got absolutely no idea what speed it was going. This is all guesswork. Oof, look at that, I stopped it right on. Which is annoying because I'm still going to need to know how fast it was going before that. Otherwise, it's going to look really weird. Where's red? There's red. Right, how fast do you go in red? Oh, there you go. That might be perfect. Ah. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter if it stops suddenly. It's just if I can play about with it slightly in order for it to look better, then I'm going to do it. Right. Okay. So I still don't like it. Right. It needs to go up. That needs to go up one. But then, did I? I didn't leave. I thought I left another. That's fine. This should be fine now. So annoying. So annoying. The scenery. What's going on? Oh, I haven't started. Right. So my suggestion would be for anyone wanting to make scenarios, just unlock, if you want to put scenery in it, just unlock the scenery from the start. Okay, so I think one of them is still a little bit under 0.36. Still don't know what red is. 8.15, 8.76. We'll have a look to see what the time is on the thing. Because if red is like 1 minute 50, then we'll just add a bit of extra track to interact with orange or something. Two minutes 8. Do you know what? That brings them all to roughly 2:13, 2:08, 2:08, 2:20. To 1. Okay. So orange is the weaker of the lot. With only 8.15. But look at the intensity. It's really low. I know it's 6.66, but that's low. So where is orange? Okay, so let's have a look. That there. That there. Oh, so it's slightly. We'll do it in case we need to scrub some speed off. But then, how about I mean, come on. It's almost like it was meant to be. How fast is it going? Because we might want to add a little cheeky break just before the last. Way too fast, way too fast. So wow. See, the excitement's gone, even though it's got the intensity's up, so it's going to get a penalty. The excitement's shot up as well. Right, so I want to, let's have a look. Let's get that on. So it's 48 miles per hour. Okay. So if we put the brakes down to about 40 and then 45. Then that should, by the time it goes up that little hill, it should slow down to around. My aim is to take a corkscrew at about 36 miles per hour. I might have slowed it down a bit too much. Okay, apologies for the janky edit, but the dog was ripped. Someone just posted something through the letterbox and the dog started ripping her apart. So he doesn't normally do that. It's just probably because I've locked him out. He decides to sort of be annoying. So what have we got? We've got yellow on 8.88. We've got green on 8.88. We've got red on 8.62. Orange on, we don't know yet, and pink on 8.76. So a couple of them are slightly under. That's fine. And 8.62, that's slightly under. Orange, 8.23. So that's still a little bit under. What was the time on this one now? 2:19. So we've shortened it slightly. Like I said, I think that was maybe slightly too fast. But yeah, we're gonna get a, so what was it, 8.2 something, wasn't it? So that's, my aim was to bring it within, like, to get him over 8. That was the ideal. Get it over 8, and then we can handle the rest of interactions, synchronization bonus, and a little bit of scenery. I don't want to go too far with the cheesing of the scenery, but a little bit is fine. Like, for example, is this running yet? $8.23. So how about there. There you go. So we got a little bit of parving over it as a head chopper, right? But in order to hide that, so you don't want to make it obvious what we're doing. Do that, and then we can do, no, we don't want to do that. We want to, green is that one, yellow is that one, red in the middle, orange, and then pink. And then what have I got? I've got the grey. On the time lapse, you might have seen me doing it in white, and I've done. I always do it. I do it in white, and then I always think that the white looks too bright. Maybe that's a different one. No, it's the same one. Sometimes I feel that the white is too bright, so then I change it to grey. .36. See, a little boost, but the thing is, it doesn't really look out of place. A little bit of that underneath there as well. We could have some. Oh, just had a low battery. Wow, how long have I been recording for? Okay, so I better wrap this up. Or better finish recording this part and then wrap the video up a bit later. Okay, so let's have a quick recap, because I think I did the wrong, I looked at the wrong coasters. So we got 9.03, 8.5, 8.76, 8.36, and 8.9. We're going to enable synchronization, so we're going to get a bonus. So everyone should be fine, apart from Orange might be an issue. Okay, so let's sync, 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 sync that, sync that. What's that? That'll give a boost. What we could also do as well is if we toggle the chain lift speed, that'll put it back into test mode. It's already in test mode. That'll recalculate the stats, is what I mean. So it's cleared them. Running on fast forward. There you go. Now they're all leaving at the same time. It's only really orange that we're worried about. Now, I know now this video is dragged on for a very long time. So assuming we pass the scenario quite quickly. Oh, it's still, is that a little bit? 8.8. We need 0.03. So once we pass the scenario, I'm just going to wrap up. So what have we got? 9.45, 8.1, 9.17, 8.77, 9.33, and intensity rating is quite low. We only need 0.03. Could probably do that with a little bit of scenery, but I don't want to add it in a way that it looks odd, like just adding it to one track and not adding it to all the others. If that makes sense. How fast is it? Coming down this point, because we could always just add a loop. Why is it stopped? Lagging out. Oh, I think I missed out one small detail from the story. And that is how long it took me to poo after the operation. And I believe it was the Wednesday or the Thursday afterwards. So that was like pretty much a full week, or maybe 8 days. You don't realize how much you appreciate being able to do that until you haven't done it in a week. Okay, so this should be there you go, makes it round the track. Okay. What? Oh, and we've done it. Oh, there you go. Stu. Fantastic. What did it finish on? Finished on 8.91. Why is that one stuck there? It's because it's on 2 trains. Okay, cool. Awesome sauce. Well, as I said, then I'm not going to drag out the end of the video too long. I'm just going to wrap it up here. Of course, I will show the 5 coasters in the outro, so stick around for that. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.